Hey folks, welcome back. Today we're playing a little bit of Endless Legend 2, which released into early access a few days ago. If you're not already familiar with Endless Legend, it was published by Amplitude Studios quite a while ago. It is a fantasy 4X game, and it has a lot of similarities to Humankind, but also has a lot of differences. So, of course, being the same studio, we're going to be playing a little bit, and I am on the faction select screen here. Right now there are 5 factions. There's another coming soon. Remember, this is currently in early access and not a full release. So the 2 that you might be most familiar with already if you played the demo are Aspects and Kin of Sheridan. So Aspects are the diplomats and Kin of Sheridan are kind of like a default one. They're called defenders. There was also the Necrophage in the demo, however it was not a playable faction, it was AI only. They are the warmongers and I believe are returning from the original Endless Legend. Last Lords are the economic faction. They're kind of based on dust, which is the equivalent of gold, effectively. And they are kind of a riff on the Broken Lords in Endless Legend. And Tahuks are a new faction, and they are the scientist faction, and kind of have a lot of religious themes woven in as well. In fact, they're almost entirely based around religious themes that provide science and other benefits. Today, I would like to play the Tahuks, just because they were not available in the demo. So if you weren't part of the sort of early access program, you won't be that familiar with the Tahuks, so this is going to be a good one to show off for the first game, I believe. And I'm not like super familiar with Endless Legend 2 yet. I did not get the opportunity to play a lot of it, even though I was in the Insiders program. So I am not playing on the highest difficulty. I'm just on Hero right now to see how this plays out. So our opponents are set up down here with Last Lords, 2 Kin of Sheridan, since I kind of think of them as the default kind of faction, then 1 Necrophage and 1 Aspects. So that is the setup. I haven't changed any of the world settings, it's just whatever the default is for the game, and we'll get into playing with some of the different setups as we get more familiar with Endless Legend 2. So with that being said, let's dive right in, and I'll see you in a moment. Alright, so here we are on our first turn as the Tahuks. You might have noticed I've skipped the intro cinematic, and frankly I'm going to be skipping a lot of like the quest dialogue and text and that kind of thing. We're mostly interested in playing the game and the mechanics, right? If you enjoy the more story-driven elements of Endless Legend 2, feel free to play the game yourself, but I'm going to focus more on the mechanics and gameplay. So I did cover a lot of kind of like the basics when I went over the demo, but we'll kind of talk through them again. So Endless Legend 2, you start off with a couple sort of base units. You have a hero unit, and you'll acquire more hero units as the game goes on. As you might imagine, these are very powerful units, and they get more abilities as they level up. So there's kind of like an RPG light element to Endless Legend 2, as well as a couple default units. So here we have this Devotee, which is an infantry unit, as well as this Initiate, which is a what they call a cavalry ranged unit. Basically just a ranged unit, really. There's also like these, I think they're called Curiosities, yet, and you can pick them up just like Goody Huts in other 4X games, including Humankind, and they provide you with a variety of benefits. To found your first city, you can do it with any of your units. You have this action down here called Found Capital at the start of the game. Later, this will become outposts, similar to Humankind, and it costs influence in order to place them, but your first one is free. You can kind of wander around the map and try to find a good location, but most players are starting up on the first turn of the game, so I think it's kind of like a civilization situation where you're better off founding your capital within the first couple turns of the game. Just like in Humankind, of course, you can get yield previews, right, by doing this. So we see a couple different options that it's recommending to us. This is 11 food and 4 industry and 5 approval. And this is 13 food, 2 industry, and 5 approval. So I can get a little bit more industry or a little bit more food. What I'm going to do is send this unit this way. So this unit here, you can see, has 3 movement points. If you hover over something in this game, you'll get a little box, and if you hold down shift, you can actually lock the box immediately. So you see right here the number of movement points, right? Whereas some of these other ones, I think, actually they all have 3 movements, so they can all go about the same distance. I don't know what I'm talking about yet in this game, so I'm just going to send this one over here just to see what I'm looking at. There's a lot of food over in this direction, so this might be a potential like attachment later to support food. I'm also going to send my hero over here, grab that anomaly, which gave me a little bit of influence as well as replenished a little bit of my movement. And then I am going to just explore in this direction just to see if there's somewhere else that might be a better capital location. This seems like it'll be good for like some industry later in the game potentially, but I do think this is probably the best capital location, giving me the best variety of outputs. So I'm going to go ahead and found right there. Now, cities, little bit different than they are in humankind. So you have your typical tiles, right? And tiles have a base yield. There are some tiles that are a little bit better than other tiles called anomalies, like you see right here with this 5 stability and 5 food. Just the anomalies, you can't really upgrade in any way. The yields are what they are. I believe there are some ways by which you can improve them through technology, perhaps, later in the game. But for the most part, you're going to be doing your building on non-anomaly tiles. Each of these tiles has a base resource, and there is a district that you can build that sort of associates with those resources. So you have your classic food, industry, money, science, influence, like other Amplitude Studios games. Now, when you're building the districts, they have to be built on what's called a foundation. So you can kind of see around the city here, there are like these little walls. That represents the extent of my foundations. And it's on a separate menu here. And you have to buy foundation with influence in order to expand your city. It makes influence a little bit more valuable because it's necessary for city expansion. And you can only buy foundation adjacent to either a completed district or an anomaly, right? And the reason you can buy it adjacent to an anomaly, like with these 2 tiles right here, is because you can't build on top of it, right? So I could buy these 2 tiles if I wanted, and that would add the base yield of those tiles to my city, or I could build a district and expand out in a different direction. So what I think I'm going to do to start here is go for this improvement, Sanctity of Nature. It gives me a variety of outputs to start, so it feels like a pretty solid starting location. Now, the Tahuks also have a few, unique abilities. A lot of them appear in the upper left-hand corner here. We'll get into more of these up here as they unlock. One of the abilities they have, though, is called this Tahuk Festival. You can basically sacrifice population in order to get a variety of yields on your city. So I can sacrifice 1 population to get 30 approval, 10 influence income, 10 science, and 10 industry. I only start with 1 population, right? But if I look at the yields that I get from the artisans right now, which is 4 industry, 2 dust, and 1 science, it's way less than I get from just clicking this button, right? 10 influence, 10 science, and 10 industry is a lot. And the earlier in the game you're getting those kind of benefits, the better. I'm just going to sacrifice my 1 population just to immediately start improving my yields. Influence is really valuable early game. Industry is really valuable early game. So I see no reason not to just click that button right away. Now, as far as technology goes, you'll probably recall this from the demo. If you've seen me play it or watched others play it, it is a nonlinear tech tree. There are basically 6 tiers of technology, and in order to unlock one of the tiers, you have to research a certain number of techs from any tier. So in order to unlock tier 2, you have to research 8 technologies. And to unlock tier 2, you're obviously limited to tier 1. Once you get to tier 2, in order to unlock tier 3, you need to research 16 technologies, and that can be from either of the previous tiers, and so on and so forth, all the way up to the 6th tier. So you're not going to unlock every technology in every game, because the number of technologies you need to unlock the next era are lower than the total number of technologies available. So I am not exactly sure what I want to start with. I could start with fencing to get the farm, and that gives me some extra sort of citizen slots on my capital. We'll go back and talk about that in just a moment. I could go for currency, which gets me some extra dust income on capital. You'll notice that the Tahuks start with this Voice of the Masses technology, which unlocks the Forum district. Very important district because this gives influence, and I do believe influence is quite a bit more important in Endless Legend 2 than it is in Humankind, kind of in general. Part of that is just due to the amount of influence that you need, and part of it is due to the way the game progresses over time. I think what I'm actually going to do, though, to start is go for currency, because this gives me a passive plus 8 dust on capital, and I think I have enough stuff to build at the start of the game, including a laboratory, including the forum, and including the improvement that I'm working on right now, the Sanctity of Nature. I didn't cover the improvements. The improvements are basically the same as infrastructure in Humankind. They're just a standard upgrade to your city that you build one time. I'm going to go ahead and end the turn here. You'll see that I've sort of split my units up here. There is this village up here, and basically in Humankind, they're kind of, not in Humankind, in Endless Legend 2, they're kind of similar to like the independent powers in Humankind, but not really. So you can go to them. I'm going to have to show you in a second here, and sort of pacify them. And what does it mean to pacify them? It means they're sort of friendly to you. This little symbol right here, this lightning bolt, indicates that the Black Hammers are hostile. So these minor factions will attack me, they'll spawn armies over time, and sort of chase after my units. Now, I can have 3 options to pacify them. One is to bribe them, so I pay them dust, and that will make them peaceful. It'll also give me one of their minor faction units if I do that. I can go on a quest for them, and when I complete the quest, it'll pacify and will sometimes give me some other benefit, or I can attack them. And the main benefit of attacking them is that I can get experience for my units and my heroes, but you also have to rebuild the village afterwards in order to get some additional effects. Once you've pacified them, you can go in here and you have what are called protectorate slots. These will unlock over the course of the game, and you can get certain benefits from the types of protectorates that you have. So if I were to assimilate the Black Hammers and make them a protectorate, I would get access to these assimilation effects. So for every Black Hammer village I have, I would get extra damage for each Black Hammer village on my unit, as well as a baseline extra damage on my units. I would get access to their minor faction unit, which is this Warsmith infantry unit. I would get access to a counselor, which we would talk about later once we get to the Monsoon, the extra 40% gains on battle spoils, and I would get access to their population, which is +2 industry on scribes. So all the different minor factions have different effects and units and traits, so you have to think about which minor factions you want to assimilate over the course of the game. Now, I also have a special ability as the Tahuks to build these observatories. So observatories are sort of these structures that have to be built on top of what are called ridges. I think of them as mountains, and they provide some extra science outputs for your culture, civilization, faction, whatever it is you want to call it. We're not going to build it yet because there's actually a quest that will unlock for us to build an observatory, and we haven't located any other buildable locations quite yet. So we are going to conserve that action until the quest pops up. I'm also looking at putting down a second outpost here, because I think the name of the game in Endless Legend 2 is expand as quickly as possible. This one also contains a minor faction, so I'm kind of leaning in this direction. I think this extra industry here is a little bit more important than that extra food. This is a lot of food here, but I'm not as worried about growth as I am industry, I think. So I'm going to start right here, and we'll probably come back and attach that later. Now, I've already researched my first technology. I think I'm going to go for the, well, let's take a look at this one. Let's do science on anomaly, gets me a little extra science to play with. Scavenging gives me extra benefits on my units. I'm going to start with the workshop, I think, just to get access to things that will improve the efficiency of my city, and that's already done. So we're going to go for this one right here, Celestial Scrying, and this is a faction-specific technology, so no other faction will have this. This will give me a little extra science on my one anomaly, but eventually other anomalies, as well as a little extra vision range, so I can see where I'm going a little bit better. So let's go ahead and plop that outpost down right up there. And up here, we're going to go ahead and trigger this faction quest here. And I'm going to skip the dialogue like I mentioned before. So completing this faction quest would get me access to this Sledgehammer of the 100. This is a thing that I can equip on my heroes to give me extra benefits. We'll talk about heroes in a little bit more detail later, and pacifies all the villages in the territory. One thing about bribing and attacking is that you have to do it village by village. When you complete a quest, you will pacify every village that is in that territory. In this case, it seems like there might only be one, but sometimes you can have up to 3, so the quest can be kind of valuable in that respect. I'm also just sending my hero around to grab as many anomalies as I can. Picking up anomalies can have a pretty major impact on your early game. And I've also completed Celestial Scrying. Let's have a look up here. So this is kind of the edge of the territory, but it won't remain the edge. In Endless Legend 2, you get these Monsoon events. I've also found a new item there. You get Monsoon events that reveal water over the course of the game. So the water level actually goes down as the game goes on. And it opens up more territory for you to explore, as well as some other possibilities. You'll also notice that I have this little notification up here because an anomaly gave me some luxury resources. Luxury resources are different than in Humankind. They're basically boosters that you activate if you have sufficient amounts. So I can activate this one. This is Song Silk, and it gives me plus 10 science on city, and it costs me 10 Song Silk for every city that I have. So I only have one, so I can activate that right away, and I might as well, because this is a pretty big boost to my early game science income. Meanwhile, down here, let's continue to explore down this way. Now, unfortunately, I've only discovered one ridge so far, so I'm going to be limited on the number of observatories I can get. I think next up, I am going to go for scavenging, just to make sure that my units are in good shape and aren't just going to immediately die to opponents. And I have met an AI as well, one of the kin of Sheridan. So we know there are two of them. I accidentally trespassed on their lands, but it is what it is. We're going to want to claim this territory as soon as possible. I also seem to have picked up another resource, which gives me extra approval on my city, which is this right here. Looks like I don't need it. I am getting extra food and industry outputs because my stability is high enough already, or my approval rather is high enough. I'm not going to activate that. I'll hold on to it. I'm also barely away from completing Sanctity of Nature, so I can just rush that with dust for 4 dust, which is completely worth it. So I'm going to do that. I'm also going to relocate this Tahuk onto Artisan so that I build stuff a little bit faster. You can see these population slots. Citizens give you food and dust, artisans are industry and dust, and then scribes are science and influence. And then the population has their own individual effect. Tahuks give you extra science for every population. We've also started a quest called New Dawn, which is the Build Observatory quest. So now I'm going to, on my next turn, I'm going to use that unit there to build the observatory to progress that quest. And in the meantime, we can take a look at our options for building things. Let's see. Now, it's not my favorite. So one thing you want to consider with Tahuks is that eventually you will unlock... Where is it? Does it appear here? No, it doesn't appear quite yet. You will eventually unlock a special district called the Holy Oculum, I believe. And the Holy Oculum provides some like adjacency to districts, basically, or gets adjacency from laboratory districts, which are the science districts. So you want it like central in a location where you're going to get some base science yields. Unfortunately, this isn't ideal because there are like territories that are water, but those waters could also recede later in the game and potentially fill in. So I kind of want to plan my Holy Oculum maybe like right here. So I want to make sure that I'm filling in these tiles with the appropriate district for that. That also means that my starter districts, I think I want to put in a different location. I'm thinking maybe I can put a works somewhere else, maybe like right here. And that will let me build things a little bit more efficiently. The other district I really want to get is a forum. But forums... So forums get influence for every adjacent district, but because of the layout of this land, I don't think it's going to be very good in this territory, so I kind of want to await until I can attach this territory to the city, because I think this area will be better for forums compared to locations that are available in my starting territory. Go ahead and end the turn here, and the scavenging crews are ready. Excuse me. I think next up, we need 2 more technologies. I'm not that interested in stoneworks. You get fortification, which has to do with sieges, and you also get access to the keep, which gives you like fortification, but otherwise doesn't do anything. So I think I'm going to go for fencing to get the farm, and then I'll probably do civil order to get access to an approval improvements. Kind of hard to say that. Approval improvements. We're also going to use this guy to finally build that observatory, and that'll complete the quest that we currently have. And since there's nothing else to really explore over here, we're going to bring this guy back and eventually take care of these armies to pacify the Blackhammers. Alright, so we have completed the new Dawn quest, and now they want us to build the Holy Oculum. So it should appear now. Here it is. So Holy Oculum, you get plus 10 science, levels up when surrounded by 4 districts. You get reduced industry costs on laboratory, and plus 10 science for each adjacent laboratory district, and some other things. So once we finish this work, we're going to start on a laboratory right here, and then we're going to stick to the plan of building the Holy Oculum on this territory right here, and that'll reduce my cost for future Holy Oculums as well. Now I want to use this Tahuk festival. I'm going to wait 1 turn until we grow again, and then I will use it and sacrifice 1 of the population in order to activate the festival. I'm also going to combine those 2 units, and my hero is just going to chill for a minute while I acquire some additional influence. And there we go. We've grown 1 population, and I'm immediately just going to sacrifice them so that we can increase our various outputs. I'm also just going to buy out that laboratory. I want to be using my resources as early as I get them, basically. And then it doesn't really matter where I put this too much, I don't think. I guess I don't know what I value more here. I guess maybe some extra science isn't too bad. We'll put it a little closer to the kin. And they've also claimed this territory over here, which is fine. The amount of territory that's actually available at the start of the game is very limited. Now we have 1 more tech that we need to research. We're going to go for Civil Order. Tahuk do benefit quite a bit from approval effects later in the game, so we do want to make sure we have those unlocked. We're also going to combine these armies, and we're going to start taking care of some of these quest items. And let's just go ahead and buy that laboratory. We don't have enough influence to get the foundation that we want in order to build the Holy Oculum. So instead, what we're going to do... we could go for another works, but it's a little bit expensive. Maybe we just start on a unit. I wouldn't mind having another melee unit, and we'll just kind of switch that over once we can actually start building something else. Because I just don't have enough influence right now to really do anything. So how much would it cost? So 8 turns for the Holy Oculum, which is a decent bit of time in early game terms. But I could also hold out to attach this to the city with my influence, but I think it's probably worth getting the Holy Oculum as soon as possible. So we're just going to start on that right away. And we're also going to attack this quest army. Now you do have manual battle and instant resolution. Well, manual battle just to show off the battle system a little bit. So you can see my hero is easily distinguishable right here. And then I have my melee units and my archer unit who function kind of as expected, right? You can see the range that my unit has. Meanwhile, these enemy units are all ranged units. And each type of unit has certain advantages and disadvantages against other types of units. These devotees, with their infantry, they have extra 20% damage against ranged units. There's also zone of control in this game, right? So if you have a melee unit that is adjacent to someone and they move out of the zone of control, they're going to get melee attacked. So we're going to move this guy right here because this will prevent these units from really moving anywhere that is outside of the zone of control without taking an attack. There's also, I don't know if I have the ability yet. I believe the Tahuk, when they attack, impose an effect on the other unit. So if I attack here, so they impose incapacitating strike, but there's also this illuminated. Also, I apologize, there's like some really loud construction work going on in the background. Hopefully y'all can't hear any of that, but it's really distracting me. So this illuminated effect is something that all Tahuk units apply, and it gives bonuses to other units when they make that attack. So for ranged units, I actually get a damage bonus by attacking an illuminated enemy, and it consumes that stack of illuminated. And then, meanwhile, this guy can't actually hit anyone, so they're just going to defend. So you can see right there, right? I got an opportunity attack as they ran away from me. We're going to move this guy up and hopefully knock them out. Not quite enough. So we'll move this guy forward 1. And then this guy has high ground, so gonna have some bonuses, but we're going to use the melee unit to attack them, and that'll get them pretty low on health. This will be a pretty straightforward battle, but as the game goes on, units get more and more effects, and one of the challenges I've had with Endless Legend 2 is keeping units alive. I find that units die a lot more easily than they did in Humankind, and part of that I think is due to less favorable terrain. I think it's harder to like abuse terrain to your advantage, at least in my experience so far. But also just like all the different effects. So our hero has leveled up. So we're taking a look at the hero menu right now. There are 3 different sort of views here. So first is the equipment view. You may remember that we picked up this flock of daggers from an anomaly, and that is equipable on this hero. Each hero has a different type. This one is a caster, and the Tahuks, of course, is a Tahuk hero. So this is equipable on casters, gives me 2 determination, 2 might, and some extra damage. You can see compared to the weapon that is currently equipped, it is quite a bit better. So this also gives me ranged 4. Got lucky on this one, actually. So, or ranged 5 rather, so I can have a 5-tile radius ranged attack. Gives me Cutting Strike, which applies bleeding, and Dagger Storm gives me an active skill. So I'm definitely going to equip that. I should have done it as soon as I got it. But there are 4 slots, and you can fill this with various equipment that gives you different benefits. There's also this profile, tells you a little bit about this hero, so they have some inherent traits that gives them various benefits, as well as a counselor trait, which we'll talk about later. You can also assign a friend and a companion. So a friend requires at least one other hero. Basically every other hero you can assign a friend. So when we unlock the next hero, which is when we research the next tier of technology, tier 2 gives you access to another hero. We can make this hero a friend with whatever hero we recruit, and that gives both of them a 20% damage bonus when they are in a battle together. You can also assign a companion. That requires the hero to reach level 5, and they have to have built what's called the Hero's Haven. It is actually a physical location on the map, which provides some bonuses to the city, and it allows you to assign a companion, which provides bonuses both to the Haven/city, as well as benefits to the hero and the hero's army. Finally, there is the skill tree, and this is, I wouldn't say it's complex, but there's a lot here. Along the right-hand side, you have attributes, so this includes might, resilience, intuition, and determination, and each of these affect various of the abilities that are in the center here. So there are kind of 3 categories of abilities. You have the caster skill tree. In this case, this is kind of the class skill tree. You have the Tahuk skill tree, so all Tahuk heroes have the same skill tree. And then you have the hybrid skill tree, which is a combination of the faction and the class. Highlighting the things on the side here, you can see this highlights the different sort of abilities in the middle, and that tells you which of these traits affects which of the abilities in the center. So what I'm looking at, I think, is the Sphere of God passive skill. So when you attack a unit with a negative status, that applies the same negative status to adjacent enemy units. There are a couple other ones. I do think the caster abilities feel a little bit weak to me, but also add this easy marks. When attacking a unit with a negative status, it adds 5 damage and extra damage per might. One thing, though, that I want to consider is like which stats I really want to focus on. See if there's like a really good ability that I really want to drive towards, and then I can like kind of build from there, you know? When attacking a unit with negative status, ignores the defense of targeted units. That one seems like it would be pretty good, but it doesn't actually scale off anything. Yeah, I find it hard to make decisions about the casters. They have a lot of like utility skills, but they're kind of hard to use in a lot of situations. Let's just start with easy marks. I think that is an easy way to begin. I don't want to belabor making these decisions here. We've also gotten another population in here, and I'm going to slap them onto Artisan as well. And over here, we have another quest army that we can destroy. I'm just going to instant resolve this one. It's not really that interesting. And that'll complete this quest that we got from the Blackhammers. So that gives us the Sledgehammer of the 100 and pacifies the villages. So you can see there's no longer this Thunderbolt icon here. It indicates it's a pacified village, and we could try to assimilate them if we decided we wanted to do that. Alright. So we can also choose our next hero because we have gotten up to the second tier of technology. So let's take a look at our options. A couple things to consider are like their baseline traits, what type of unit they are, as well as their counselor trait. So let's just take a look at their counselor traits first. Counselors basically unlock with the first Monsoon. You'll have 2 slots, and counselors provide basically faction-wide bonuses. So this one can get me extra science at the cost of approval. Oracle allows research of technologies from the next era. Siege Engineer gives you ransack and capture points. This one's interesting, primarily related to sieges. And then, excuse me. Excuse me. That was unexpected. And then the unfair trade here. This is, you can see this is not a Tahuk hero. This is actually a minor faction hero. So it gives extra dust on trading posts and reduced industry costs on trading posts. I think what I'm probably interested the most in is some kind of melee hero. So both of these seem like they're largely the same. What I'm really looking at is like these inherent traits that they already have. You can see this has 2 extra points on this guy, this Hades Rabu. And the Oracle Counselor trait could potentially be interesting. I'm not as interested in that, but I just want like a really solid frontline unit to use with my other hero. Kind of looking at their skill tree, I think they're largely like a defender unit. Yeah, you can get extra defense, extra health, extra shield when defending, all sorts of defensive traits. So it can just be like a really strong frontline for me, I think. So I think I'm going to go ahead and recruit Hades Rabu here, and probably going to have him join the other army. We're going to go ahead and assign these 2 as friends, since they are the only 2 heroes that I have. And they do start at level 2, so I have the option of choosing one of the options down here. Thinking the most obvious option to start with is this War Machine. So I get that extra 15 health, as well as extra health for any of these traits. And I do start with a decent number of these traits, so this will give me a good amount of health to improve that unit's tankiness, and kind of blocking capabilities. All right, and then as far as the next technology is concerned, you can see it opens up a lot in this second tier. A lot more decisions that have to be made. So, I'm actually not sure. I could go for Collective Will for the Blast Furnace. I do feel like my industry is not very good. I think I'm going to start there. And that gives me an improvement that will give me a good base yield to my industry outputs. My festival here has also ended. I believe this festival increases in cost over time, but for now it still only costs me 1. So I'm going to just continue to do that. Because why would I not do that for the number of outputs that it gives me? Especially since it gives me influence, right? And I'm looking to be, I'm looking to attach a territory pretty quickly here. All right, Hades, let's continue to explore. What we would really like to find is more of these ridges, right? Because these observatories give us extra science, which can help us progress down the tech tree a little bit faster. And it doesn't cost very much to get them set up. And we can actually do it in other territories as long as we have access to those territories. We don't have to have an outpost on those territories, or on that territory. I also have a decent bit of dust here and can buy this out, which I'm going to do because this is going to unlock a lot of faction abilities that are pretty powerful. It gives me a little bit of science and unlocks the Holy Oculum projects. It will also begin another quest to have 2 districts of communal habitation. We're not going to worry about communal habitation quite yet, I don't think. Let's take a look at what's available. A couple improvements. I can start on the Blast Furnace. That's going to take 8 turns. So maybe I start on something else first. So I could go for another laboratory. It's not too bad. I would like to have another territory attached. Let's start with this laboratory, I think. Just because we do have a cost reduction because of the Holy Oculum. And we can also start using some of our abilities up here now that we've built the Holy Oculum. So the main one right here is the Star's Light. You can target an observatory, and this creates something called a called population. The called population is kind of a unit that appears in your city, basically in the closest city to the observatory, and it gives you extra approval for each called population that you have. And you get the Star's Light on the observatory that this is affecting, which gives some extra influence and some extra vision range. So we're going to go ahead and queue this up, and this takes some charge time, and it basically takes away from your science output in order to charge up these abilities. You'll see the other ones that we have available. We have this geodissection. So geodissection allows you to glass a territory basically that has an observatory. Glass, I think, is just like tiles with no output, so you can kind of scorched earth. And then you also have this esoteric delegation, so you can send all the population in a city to another empire's city, or to another empire cities, and they're like these missionaries, and can cause religious unrest, and have some other various effects that I'm not like super familiar with, but we'll get the chance to play with it this game, hopefully. And then as far as tech, since we finished Blast Furnace, what do we want to go in on? I mean, Common Rights would be okay, right? This gives us extra influence, and influence is a very valuable one. Sage's Blessing would be nice. This unlocks specializing our units, so we can get some better units, which is always good. Geology is nice because it reduces the influence cost for Found Camp, and I think we will want that before the end of the next Monsoon. So I think we're going to start with that one. And now we can finally attach a territory here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And laboratories in queue, I think what I'm going to do is bump the forum to the top of this queue, just so that we can get the influence going first, and then we can return to that laboratory. I've also been attacked here. Let's see what their units look like. It's not too bad. I think if I bring this unit in, I can reinforce. Maybe not. I guess they had to be in position beforehand. No big deal. This guy will just heal up a little bit. We actually wanted them to be in the same army anyway. I doubt they attack me here, and they're actually attacking the neutral there. So maybe next turn I can actually try to attack them. So we basically have, like, we're not at war, but we have skirmishes that are allowed, basically. And they've given me an opportunity to attack them there. So I guess we have hostile relationships. One thing to note in Endless Legend 2 is that when you retreat, defensively, you will take damage on your units. You do not take damage on your units retreating offensively. And they've just kind of run their units right back at me. So we can go ahead and pick off one of their units here. And I'm going to manual battle just in case I can reduce the total amount of damage that I'm going to take. And this guy here should probably do a lot of damage. Don't have quite enough range there. We'll call that good, I suppose. They're gonna go for my ranged unit, which makes sense. I didn't think they could actually get quite that far. Right, I probably could have just instant that. And then as far as our next technology goes, I guess since we're starting to skirmish, we can try to pick up the Sage's Blessing. And Sage's Blessing will give us access to higher tiers of units. Alright. We are going to head this way. I've also found a random quest. You can basically find some just running around. This one looks very good. Extra approval on cities from a notable, I don't care. Get the Razor Sickle, which is a nice little upgrade for one of my units. This extra experience and... oh, that's a treaty cost reduction. I don't know if I care about treaties right now. Let's go for the movement speed and the Razor Sickle. So now I can, on future turns, I'll be able to move this guy a little faster, this army, as well as give this guy the Razor Sickle, which is a little bit of an improvement over the short sword, and will make him a little more effective in combat. Okay, end our turn. I'm just going to buy this laboratory since it's pretty fast, or pretty easy to buy here. And then we're working on our blast furnace, which is going to take us a while. But I think that's okay. I don't mind the blast furnace taking a while because it is going to be major impact on our productivity. Now you can see the Tahuk Festival cost has increased to 2. I'm not quite sure if that is worth it at the moment. I'm wondering if I can get this population growth down to 1 turn. I can by assigning all my citizens. So I'm going to do that. I also have the opportunity to build another observatory here. Oh, actually I can't do it in claimed territories. So what I'm going to try to do instead is occupy this territory that they've put down. So I can do this without declaring war. If they haven't turned it into a city, I can try to take over encampments, and I was able to do that in one turn. I'm actually not sure how that is calculated in total, but in this case, nice freebie here. I'm also going to move here, and I think I'm going to try to parlay. These units feel like they're pretty strong, these Hydrocorns. You want me to build a geodesic, whatever it is, dome, and that'll pacify everyone. So the dome is unlocked from this technology here, I believe, and requires quite a bit of resources in order to build. There are strategic resources in this game as well. We do have some glass steel already. Other sort of tier 1 strategic resource is titanium. Yeah, we'll have to think about it a little bit, to be honest. We'll finish our current tech and see if that's feasible. We're also going to go ahead and put down an observatory. I've realized I have not used the star's light. Let's go ahead and use that right now. Now you can see we have this called population here, which gives +1 approval. It doesn't seem like much, but this will interact with other effects that we're going to unlock over the course of the game. I'm also going to queue up another star's light so that I can apply it to that observatory once it comes online. Let's end the turn. And we have the chance to attack this guy here. I don't think I want to instant resolve that. This is a little bit closer of a battle than I would have expected, given the starting health that their units have. So play something like this. And probably go there and go there. They don't have any ranged units. I guess their hero is ranged, so that is a consideration. But this unit should be in pretty good shape. And I'm going to keep this unit kind of in the back, just because I'm worried about them kind of coming for me. So I'm going to reserve them, and these guys will be in defensive stance, which gives them some extra defenses against being attacked. You'll notice that in Endless Legend 2, unlike in in Humankind, there's no retaliation damage on melee, which really improves the value of melee. Okay, let's move this guy up. I'm thinking I actually want to just try to kill this hero here. So what I'm going to do is attack him with my own hero. I'm going to move this guy kind of up onto the high ground here, and then I can try to consume that that light effect, wherever that is. I guess I don't have it. Oh, and it looks like I'm going to crit him. So there is a critical chance on units, and I believe casters have a slightly higher critical chance to do more damage. So I got lucky there and managed to crit them. And here I'm going to attack, because as units lose health, they also lose damage. And they're actually trying to skirt around and destroy my ranged unit now, which I don't think is going to do them too much good. See if I can, yeah, so I can get away from them. I take damage, but I don't lose the unit. I think what I want to do is attack here. I am going to just run away. And then I'm going to move this unit into position to kind of guard the retreat. And I don't think they'll be able to kill this devotee on this turn. Though hopefully I can do enough damage back to prevent them from killing the devotee. Like I mentioned before, I am like just having trouble keeping units alive, and that's going to be the same thing here. I maybe should have done this Dagger Storm. I don't know. So I'm going to lose a devotee, but not that big of a deal considering the amount of damage that I managed to do to them. And I do have one being built over here. I don't really want to buy that out. Do I want to sacrifice some population? I think I do. I think sacrificing 2 population for that effect is still worth it. And yeah, let's keep them on citizens for now. And we can go ahead and use the Star's Light, and we'll use it right over here. This is really unfortunate. I should have been paying more attention. So they kind of, this minor faction is hostile to me. See if I can, I think I can like funnel them right here a little bit. This guy needs to stay a little bit in the back. This guy can actually, okay, that's a 1 range thing. This guy can hit them from pretty far away, though. We'll just do whatever does the most damage. It's about equal, so we'll just target the closest one. Just want to try to prevent this initiate from dying. Now, the benefit to this is, as long as I manage to kill them without them killing my units, is that this will get me a little bit of experience for my heroes as well, which is quite important. Okay, so they're targeting that unit there, or my caster unit, which is totally fine. I'm going to run away with this guy. Probably over here, actually. I don't think they'll be able to get there from where they are. And it doesn't matter because I can knock them out anyway. So I get a little bit of dust from that, as well as a little experience, and that's going to be enough to level them up, actually. So here, I think I just want to continue making this guy pretty defensive. And also get this, when attacking a unit with negative status, recovers 10 health and extra health per resilience, which seems nice. Health recovery is always valuable. And here, I am thinking about the Sphere of God. Attacking a unit with negative status applies the same negative status to adjacent units. Wonder if there's anything else that really seems good. Shared Ward could be interesting defensively to give shield to targeted friendly units. I guess I can increase the amount of shield that I get later. Though I think I'm gonna go for Fear of God. I think that one seems like the most versatile, perhaps. Alright, let's just heal up a little bit. Here, I could buy this blast furnace now. I think I'm going to do that, because that's going to have a big impact on my industry. Even though it does cost a really sizable portion of my dust, but I think I am good with that. Okay, and now you can see the time it's going to take for me to build things is reduced pretty substantially. I also have enough influence to buy some foundations if I want to. I'm thinking is I get a farm here, and I can start maybe filling in around this forum. I also need to get another Star's Light queued up. Take a look at our population here. I'm going to move this guy onto Artisan for a little bit more industry. I'm going to see how many artisans I can make. Okay. Got to keep a couple on citizens so that I continue to grow, but a couple on artisans as well gives me enough production to reduce my queue a little bit. I could try to get the Jiadzik Dome. It is quite expensive to build. But unlock the evolution of observatories, and also get science in observatories. It might be worthwhile. I don't know the tech tree very well yet, or what a good dominant strategy is. Influence is good. This gives me extra population slots and emergency dwellings. Approval, extra attachable territory, and extra influence. I might start with this one here, just because this gives me some dust right away, and the Lithosphere Gallery gives you 50 dust on your city when you build it, which feels like it would be quite strong. And this Devotee will head off over this way. I also have the option to upgrade here, so every unit has some upgrade options. I think minor faction units only have one upgrade tree, and true faction units have 2 upgrade trees. Though necrophages, I think, are the exception to that. They can go a whole bunch of different directions. So you have a kind of gold option, and you have a strategic resource option. In this case, I would need titanium to upgrade here, and this will give me a new ability called Fearless Charge. Meanwhile, the gold route gives me a new ability called Patroller, which gives me movement points to all units that are in the army, so you can move around the map a little bit faster. In general, it seems like the strategic resource route feels like a little bit stronger of a route in most cases, but also it takes longer to acquire the resources, and you might want to be using them for other things. And in this case, I'm going to just upgrade to the Apprentice, just to give me the ability to traverse the map a little bit faster. I've also met another player, the Last Lords. There are a couple curiosities lying around, which I am... okay, I guess I'm not picking that one up. Actually, I didn't expect there to be another player on my continent. I think I'm going to attack them as well, actually. The Last Lords are interesting. They get quite strong later in the game, in my experience up to this point. This is their quest unit. So Last Lords have a quest that unlocks a special unit, but it only has 1 health. So actually it is pretty useless. I don't know if it's a bug or if it's something else. And Typically, on your starting continent, it seems like there's only ever one opponent. So I don't think I've ever seen it with two opponents starting on the same continent as I have. And here we go. Here's the first monsoon. So we're going to get a change in the weather. And there are various effects, including extra gains on battle spoils, reduced vision range, extra health regeneration in non-allied territory, and the monsoon spawns a whole bunch of these curiosities around the map that I can now pick up for extra resources. So, of course, we are going to start doing that as soon as possible. I can't tell if, like... Yeah, that just seems like it's bugged or something. I'm not really sure what that cache resource is about. Now I can parlay here and try to grab a quest. Destroy consortium rivals. Okay. Let's see where that is. Okay, so there's going to be an army right there that I can try to destroy. I also found in Endless Legend 2, because of the way the territory is revealed over time, it's nice to have some extra units lying around. So I'm going to grab an initiate, since it's pretty cheap to build. And I'm also going to grab this Relic Keeper, which is a pretty strong kind of ranged unit that I would like to add to my main army, and eventually I'll build out another army as well. I'm also looking at getting some communal habitations because I need to build some of those in order to advance my quest. I think I'm going to grab one right here because that'll be adjacent to a couple districts, and we'll get that after the initiate because I want the initiate to be able to run around and grab some of these things that have just spawned from the monsoon. I have also unlocked the council. So I talked about this before, right? All these different sort of heroes and characters in your empire give you the option of selecting council seats and provide some faction-wide benefits. So this one gives me extra fortification and reduced chance of a rebellion occurring on a city because a blind fanaticism status. Okay. Research of text from the next era, extra dust per observatory. This one reduces food consumption on Galvanized Called. We haven't talked about Galvanized Called yet because we haven't unlocked that, but that's a pretty decent, strong effect. I'm going to grab that one, and I am going to grab this extra dust income per observatory because I think those are the two that will help me the most immediately. I'm not really interested in researching the next tier of technology. I think it's just going to be too expensive right now, but maybe that's something I can look into a little bit later. Okay. Next, we could go for Deciphering Stone. Actually, we're still working on Dustalytics. I'm not sure why that canceled for me. And we'll end the turn. Maybe. Unless it decides it doesn't want to do that. I guess my industry changed over the end turn there. So I could sacrifice another 2 population if I want. I don't think that is worth it at the moment. I have a good number of population. Let's put someone on artisans there. Alright, so Dustalytics is done. We have some these curiosities that we're going to go ahead and pick up. Or anomalies, whatever they're called. I guess the anomalies are the things that are actually on the map. Here, I'm not particularly interested in a pretty non-competitive battle. I'm just auto-resolving that. And I'm going to heal for a turn before I attack that group of enemies. Then as far as our tech is concerned, let's go ahead and... Whoop, that is the wrong tech. Let's go ahead and go for this Geodesic Dome. And that'll also give us more science, which is kind of the focus of our civilization anyway. So communal habitations coming up. I will need to get another one of those communal habitations, but it is definitely not a priority. Okay, and the Kin of Sheridan have declared war on me. They are in a slightly better position than I am. I'm still going to try to clean this up. I'll just instant resolve. It's a pretty uncompetitive battle there, and that'll pacify the Consortium village up here. I've also upgraded the level of one of my heroes, which will be nice. Thinking about what I want. Extra critical chance to non-hero units of army sounds pretty nice. I think I will grab that. Critical chance seems decently strong to me. Also upgrade these devotees to something. I'm not sure that's worth it right now. Let's swap this industry over to the Relic Keeper so that I have some units with which to defend myself. Okay, and we're going to combine these armies and keep it moving over this way. Would like to be able to claim this territory, but You'll see as the monsoon subsides that other territories revealed tend to have better outputs than starting territories. And blue has backed off a little bit, so I'm going to see if I can pick up a couple of these curiosities that are lying around. The curiosities will disappear at the end of the monsoon, so the sooner you can get them, the better. Okay. I'm going to just buy that communal habitation because I would like to get the next sort of tier of stuff as soon as possible through the quest. So the quest will unlock a couple of these other options up here, which are quite powerful. So Relic Keeper's almost done. We'll go ahead and let that finish up and add that to this army. And let's get these guys all together. Kind of surprised the kin declared war on me, but suppose I shouldn't be that surprised. I think I'm also going to activate this Clax booster here. I've kind of been sitting it because I can get the approval up to happy, which will give me extra food and industry on this city, which seems pretty worthwhile. Okay. Everything looks good for now. Let's kind of combine these forces up, and we're going to do a little bit of exploring down towards the kin of Sheridan here. Now, the kin are pretty defensive. They have, like, reasonably good units. There's no way I'm going to be able to attack their city with just a single army. So I am going to have to build more army. Let's buy the communal habitations, and this will unlock a couple empire actions, including Eternal Sunshine and Spirit of Service. It's also going to unlock my empire state. So you have Pious, Open, and Bold. You'll see if I hover over this, there are a couple modifiers that you get for each of these. Now, all the effects here are the same, or read the same at least. So there's Stars Light, Galvanized Call, Eternal Sunshine, and Esoteric Delegation. However, the actual effects of these things differ depending on which empire state you have. So for instance, if I go for Pious, which I think I'm going to, I get 10 influence for every Holy Oculum level on Stars Light. Galvanized Called gives me 5 industry on Galvanized Call, 2 influence for Holy Oculum level, 2 dust, etc. Eternal Sunshine, 200% production on population vocations, which feels very powerful, as well as extra dust on tile with glass per city, etc. Right, you can read through all of these. As Open, right, if I just look at Eternal Sunshine, I get 100% production on population vocations, right? So these things vary depending on which state you have chosen. I am going to choose Pious because I think that is probably the most straightforward here. And I am immediately going to start on Eternal Sunshine. So Eternal Sunshine applies to a city, and it gives you +3 called population at the end of its effect duration. And then what you can do is use Spirit of Service, and Spirit of Service galvanizes the called. So it basically makes them, like, unemployed, but it gives them a whole bunch of outputs, and because of my Empire state, I get a ton of outputs from the population vocations. That's kind of the strategy that I'm going to be pursuing in the early game here. Also see if we can, suppose we can just bribe here. Seems like the easiest option if they want to do that. There we go. And that way I can continue kind of exploring all this stuff. You could also consider if we want to absorb one of these. Extra dust on cities. I mean, not amazing. Black hammers, extra damage. Yeah, they're both fine. I don't feel compelled to do it with just one of each though, so I'll probably just ignore it for now. I believe I also have a quest to use the Tahuk Festival twice, but I do have to sacrifice a decent amount of population in order to do that. I do think it's worth it right now to do one. I still get a decent number of outputs from it. And then as far as what I'm building next, let's see. I feel like I have a good amount of food. I think I obviously wouldn't mind building more industry. I wouldn't mind getting more science. I don't have a great spot for gold in my cities right now. Let's maybe grab... Let's grab a works right here. One thing that's nice about Endless Legend 2 is you don't have to put districts all adjacent to the same type of district. You can really just exploit what's in the terrain. You can see the end of the Monsoon cinematic here. So you can really just exploit whatever is on the terrain, because the districts actually upgrade just like based on having a certain number of districts that are adjacent to them, regardless of the district type. A lot of districts also have certain benefits for adjacency to certain terrain features. So, for instance, the laboratory here has adjacency benefits with anomalies. So the planning of cities is a little different than it is in Humankind, which I appreciate. Okay, so now I have to, like, I don't have very many units right now, which is potentially a little bit of a problem, because A, I'm at war with the King of Sheridan and would like to cripple them as soon as possible. B, a lot of new land has just opened up. You can see the waters have receded. There are now, like, strategic resources that are available that I can try to capture, and I'm going to try to do that. Need to, like, explore around a bit. Not sure why I can't go there, why it's taking an insane route. I actually wanted to go this way. I'm not sure why I even moved in that direction. I see, it's just a graphical error, and he was not in that location to begin with. I'm seeing some titanium and glass steel. I think that's glass steel, yep. So this territory has one of each of these strategics, which could be really beneficial. Down here, I could upgrade this unit to a fanatic, which gives some defensive benefits. I think I'll do that. They're probably going to be defending a lot anyway. And I'm just kind of like hanging around up here and trying to exploit anything I can find in their defenses, any weakness I can find. You can also see up here, actually, there's the Subterranean Shrine. These are kind of like dungeons that you can enter with your units, and you can defeat the armies and claim some rewards, and it lets you claim the territory for free without expending any influence if you manage to beat the battle. Now, as far as the next tech goes, thinking, let's go for the Deciphering Stone, just to improve my, what are these called again? The observatories. Unfortunately, I only have 2, but you can use strategic resources to upgrade them, and they become a little bit more useful as you do so. Okay, unfortunately, I need to avoid this guy for now, because they are hostile towards me. I'm wondering if there's... Yeah, I mean, I can get, like, a decent outpost right there, actually, so let's just do that. Also picked up a quest on the way. I can't win a battle, so I guess we'll go for this. Don't want to lose this unit. Yeah, that'll be a pretty solid location, I think, actually. Like, some decent outputs here, some good strategic resources. I actually got lucky and have quite a few strategic resources nearby, which is not always the case. Alright, these guys are going to dig in a little bit. Let's just finish up that works, and then we're going to start working on another proper army here. I think we're going to need a handful of devotees and a couple of relic keepers. It'll take me a little bit to get that. So this is from founding an outpost in one of the revealed territories. Again, we're not going to really watch the cinematics here. We're not as interested in that parts of the game, at least not for the purposes of recording, even though, you know, it seems like a lot of effort was put into it. All right, they just had, they were immobilized from an effect, so we can't move them this turn. And these Solusks here are actually, I would like to be able to claim those Solusks. So these Solusks here, if you make them a protectorate, you get extra health on your heroes, and extra health for each Solusk that you have pacified. So that would be a nice addition if we can manage to do that. However, it is going to take us a little bit to build up this army here. Let's see. Seems like this doesn't have a supporting army, so I'm going to try to attack. Yeah, instant resolution actually has me losing that, which is interesting. Maybe I just need more frontline units, actually. Yeah, let's just fall back until I have some more devotees to play with to kind of block for my existing units. Because I do think it is correctly assessing that my backline is going to be quite vulnerable. Okay. We've also opened up, like, paths to other parts of the map now, so we'll see people that spawned in other locations starting to show up. There's a Last Lord's army there. We'll probably want to try to yoink that territory away from them if we can as well. Okay, they're attacking me, and I think I'm just going to retreat again. I don't feel compelled to attack that army quite yet. And as far as our next tech goes, let's go ahead and unlock that Geodesic Dome. These guys are just going to sit there and heal up. In the meantime, I guess I'm actually kind of blocking them there, so that's not a terrible place to be. Okay, they're sieging. Thankfully, my armies, I'm going to lose outputs while they're under siege, but my armies are actually free to act, so they can continue to heal despite the siege. I also have this effect here. Definitely, let's go for the industry, even though it'll cost me a little bit of approval. But this does pause my my production queue for the time being. Right, you'll see sieges here. Basically, the way this works is that attacking armies have a certain number of points. I don't exactly remember what they're called, but they have points to reach the fortification, and this is compared to the total number of fortifications in the city, which are developed through keeps as well as like infrastructure type improvements. And eventually they cause breaches, which allow them to attack through the walls. So you can see here the next breach is in 2 turns. You have potential bankruptcy. We're actually not worried about that quite yet, so we don't have enough loss of gold. I only have 1 reinforcing unit here. I feel like I'm relatively healthy, and I don't want to lose any more. So I can sortie. I do have like a militia set of units. You can see I have some devotees, I have an initiate, and I have 2 relic keepers. And this unit will be able to reinforce, so I feel okay about doing a sortie here. Now, you can only have a max of 2 armies in a battle, so it really emphasizes the quality of the armies over the quantity of units that you can bring. So no overwhelming, like, medieval era units with archers in this game. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. But we should be able to win this battle pretty easily. Now, the one unfortunate thing about rallying or sorting is you can no longer use the inside of the city. You're forced outside of the city, and that can cause some issues, like on this terrain right here, which is not particularly favorable for me. Now, they don't have any ranged units, again, other than their hero, so maybe this won't be so bad. Let's see. Let's put some ranged units kind of along here. And I guess this guy can be up here because he has shorter range, I think. Maybe? I'm actually not entirely sure. This unit... yeah, I don't know. Let's put them down here, and that'll let them kind of move up to the front a little bit, and this unit can kind of move around to different locations as needed. I could just instant resolve this and only lose one of my garrisons, but this is a larger battle, and I do need to, like, learn how to manage the units better in excuse me, in Endless Legend 2, so I'm going to manual battle this one. And I'm kind of like leaning towards staying put here a little bit. I suppose I can like push up to this territory right here. So if I have like a front line kind of like that, I don't feel like there's going to be a lot that they'll be able to do. Yeah, I think these guys can stay put. Okay, so everyone's just going to defend, and they're going to come to me. Most of their units are melee, so should be pretty easy to deal with my onslaught of ranged units. I don't really want to be in that position, just because that is downhill from these other units, so we're going to move that guy right here. Let's move... So relic keepers can go up a little bit. I kind of want to target that unit, I think. And I think my hero here can take some damage in case they come down and want to attack me. Let's move this guy up. And I think I can probably go there and be fine. I can go here and be okay. I think this guy can attack, yeah. And then... if I attack with my hero now, this has the weakening strike, or weakened, which loses them damage. Now if I attack with this hero, because of one of its upgrades, it'll apply the weakened damage to this other unit as well. There's part of me that just wants to, like, go for it. Tried to put a unit there. I don't think it's necessary, though. So if I attack here, I can move this ranged unit up, back there, and then I can get into a position with my hero unit here to make a melee strike. And because this has that weakened status, this unit heals from attacking them because of this Prey on the Weak. And I think that is everything that I can do here. I suppose I could move this guy, but I think I just want to keep this, like, one tile, maybe. Yeah. I think that should be fine. Okay, so I guess that was kind of predictable that move there. I suppose they were able to access my archers. Okay, so we want to try to eliminate that unit. I can always just pull them back and take the opportunity attack. Let's attack here. Attack them again. Then we'll attack that guy. We'll attack that guy. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it with just the ranged units I have available, and I do need to worry about this unit as well. I'm going to attack here to weaken them. I can maybe move there to get an illuminating strike. I guess just do that. I don't think I'm like playing this super well to be completely transparent. I'm just going to take that opportunity attack so that they don't die. Maybe I can knock them out if I get lucky with the crit, but I think they will bleed out over the end of the turn from that bleeding effect. Now this guy... Yeah, that feels worth it to attack their hero, and then I'm going to block this cavalry from accessing any of my ranged units. I think this guy is just going to defend, and I'll let my set of ranged units pick all these units off. Ooh, that did a lot of damage to me, actually. That was unexpected. Suppose it is like a melee unit, but... Okay, so we can attack here. Yeah, I think I did worse than the than the auto-resolve had me doing. I have found that to be the case, frightening me often. Okay, can I knock this guy out? Okay. And then I think with this unit... Oh, can he not move anywhere? Did I use him already? Oh, I must have attacked them already. That was actually a big mistake on my part. I think I might... that hero might get knocked out. I didn't think I had him clicked, actually. Let's start attacking this guy. Heroes don't permanently die, so it's not like a huge deal, but obviously I prefer to have them. Okay, I'm fine. Let's move up here, fire there. Then we're going to attack here, and I guess we can apply the illuminated foes, and then I can consume the illuminated foes from that unit for extra damage. We'll just flank them away. Yeah, so not the best battle, but it was fine. Everything worked out. And I've also upgraded this unit. I can add extra defense to non-hero units of the army. Doesn't seem too bad. When attacking, applies all its statuses to adjacent friendly units. Okay, so like if it's buffed up, it does that. I think there's... Yeah, when attacking, removes all positive statuses from the targeted unit and applies positive statuses of the targeted unit to itself. So I can like steal them and then apply them to my own friendly units, which is interesting. What I'm thinking, I think Paragon of Defense maybe, just to improve the beefiness of the units that are in my army. I also want to write White Peace, which I'm going to refuse because I feel like I'm in a pretty advantageous position over them and could probably take over their city if I want. Okay, let's see if I can try to parlay with those guys down here. Ooh, I can improve this to get myself some approval. Not sure that's needed right now. I could also... I can't apply that to the ridge. I'm just going to put that right there, just to kind of block them a little bit. We'll see if they are aggressive towards me or not. Oh, still haven't researched that. I feel like when you get sieged, if it's your only city, it will block your technology. Okay, so I have this down, and you have to build the extractors here, so you can just purchase them in your outposts with dust. So now I'm going to start getting a little bit of income on some of these, and I also will have this extractor right here. Now I should also be thinking about another city, which I have not done a good job of cultivating so far, but I could potentially turn this into another city if I wanted to. There are definitely some options available. Not sure what else would be a good option right now, but just having like early cities gives you a lot of flexibility. And next tech, maybe go for seed bank. This to get some growth. I do feel like I'm kind of low population right now. Oh, and I did not use Eternal Sunshine. Let's make sure we grab that. So that'll give, once the effect expires, I will get some more of the called population. Let's see, and okay, all my observatories already have that status that I have prepared. So nothing else that I need to do. I'm just going to prepare another Eternal Sunshine and another Service, or Spirit of Service, just so those are ready to go when I need them. Alright, let's explore this way. Please don't attack me. I need to bribe you next turn. And we're still working on the rest of our forces here. And we're healing up a little bit as well. Okay, we're just going to bribe them so that they are no longer unfriendly with me. Over here, actually some decent yields here. Go ahead and drop an outpost there. And, I don't know, I'm thinking about turning... Yeah, maybe this one actually into a city. I feel like this one could be connected to my existing city really well and would, like, fill in territory gaps. So maybe this one up here should actually be its own city. I think that gives me some decent options. Let's do that. I'm going to evolve that into a city, just so that I can get this rolling. And what do I want to start with? I still need to do some more festivals. I don't have enough population here. Because I do want to progress this quest. Let's just do it here and get the pain over with. Okay, reduce population costs for the festival action. Sounds great. At least 2 observatories with Sacred Flame is the next part of the quest. Let's oh, we have a lot on there. Let's focus on, I guess, industry for now, so we can build things a little faster. And we want to get this geodetic dome going. And then maybe after that we just grab the lithosphere gallery, because that's a huge improvement to my dust. And then over here, could start with just a blast furnace if we wanted. Districts are like not super amazing in Endless Legend 2. I mean, you can get there. And they are important, but the infrastructure provides you with a lot more. Okay, I guess that's not a real thing. Okay, we have some, not sure what to even call this, some people running around. There's like a name for them, and I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. I'll have to revisit that. My knowledge will expand as we continue to actually play the game. And we have our armies ready here, so I'm going to start pushing forward. I also wouldn't mind like just one extra unit to go grab some of these things and do a little bit more exploration. Alright, so we're going to want to try to grab some of this territory up here. They look like they might be coming to put down an outpost somewhere. No, I did not research the technology yet that improves the number of territories that I can attach, which is this one right here. I think that's going to be my last one. At least for this tier, that is. I'm going to push forward and see what I can do about sieging down that city there. Okay, let's grab some of these anomalies. And Geodetic Dome is almost good to go. And that'll conclude that quest. I've pacified Hydrocorns, and I've gotten a freebie unit. So these guys are no longer hostile towards me. I can use this unit to start to explore. So, okay. I have an upgrade available here. Let's maybe... Let's see. I guess Light Seether is applicable for everyone on the Tahuks. York's Fury. Very long line. Okay, interesting. 40 damage to targeted units, extra damage for things, weakened, and use remaining movement point after. Okay. Force Blast. What is a Greater Cleave? Strikes at target and 2 adjacent units. Okay. Banish. Yeah, a lot of these feel very supporty to me, which is fine. Let's go for this Ecclesiarch's Fury and see how that does. Part of the fun of new game is figuring out what's good and what's bad, you know? Let's attack that guy, just so they bugger off, and then we will start to siege down. As you can see, it's going to take me a while to siege here. And up here, is that? Oh, that's a quest ruins. Yeah, there's nowhere else I can actually build stuff. I'm going to go ahead and get an outpost down right here, because I do need some dust-producing tiles in my territory. I'm starting to run low, and I'm running at a deficit, which is not ideal. Now, I am working on the Slithosphere Gallery, which will get me back in the positive. I've also unlocked a quest, search the Forsaken Burial Sites, and that'll get me some benefits. It's over there. We'll probably deal with that after the siege here. I'm going to go ahead and initiate this attack and just try to clear some of these units out. Not sure where they get away with killing one of my Relic Keepers in this battle. I also forgot to deploy at the start, but it's fine. This like really should not be a challenging battle in any sense of the word. Okay, make sure we're up on like even terrain here, and we're going to target these low health units first. Take that attack, and yeah, this will put them on low ground, but I need to kill them so that this guy retains health. Okay, so let's attack first, I guess. Let's get the Illuminated Foes. We'll consume the Illuminated Foes for some damage bonus there. Come up onto even terrain. I can't quite kill them. I'm going to defend, just so that they can stay alive. And then we should be able to finish them off just like that. And now they'll... we can probably pull them back a little bit to our own territory just to heal them up a little bit. And this one will be an attachment to the city. I can also do this rewild, which will basically increase the outputs of some of the tiles. I think mainly just the ones that don't have any outputs. So it can be beneficial to do before you attach some of the new territories. I think I'm going to start investing in that a little bit in some of the territories I intend to attach. All right, let's go up here. Okay. 3 turns for sieging here, and to pull these guys back and start to heal up. Also unlocked a quest here, Corrupted Defenses. Oh, that's 150 science, and I just can't move for a turn. That seems totally fine to me. That unit is really not important to me at all. Okay. We're going to try to get to the siege here to end the episode on. Island's Bow. Yeah, I found a few things. And they're attacking me here. I had intended to try to upgrade some of these units beforehand. Okay, I can't specialize there. I don't have enough to do it either way. Okay, let's see what they've got. They have 2 heroes now. Fortunately, one of my devotees is damaged. I think that would be fine. They have similar strength to me. That army's full, actually, so I couldn't even do anything there. I'm, like, nervous about taking this. I think it'll be fine. Let's see what the Instant Resolution says. Yeah, Instant Resolution has me winning this pretty handily. Obviously, I would like to try to do it better than what the instant resolution gives me. Okay. I want to try to be on the high ground here. Probably just do this kind of segment here again. I think it's gonna work. Yeah, I think this is okay. It's manual battle. Okay, they're starting. Right, because they're attacking me, so they move first. Which is actually fine. I have range superiority here, and this will give me the opportunity to shoot at most of their units before they can really do anything to me. Okay. I think let's move here. Let's move here. Let's move... Yeah, this actually might be slightly too large of a front line for me to handle efficiently. Let's go here. I want to put this guy in a position where I can basically bombard anyone. And these units down here. Let's just start hitting this guy. And we'll consume that light. We'll apply another one. Consume it again. Not going to be able to kill him, I think, but I think my main objective is actually this ranged hero back here, I think is the largest threat. And this guy, yeah, we'll just make another attack there. I actually think I should have done that first. I don't know what this breaching thing is. It reduces their defenses, maybe. Yeah, I'm still like learning all the different interactions of in this Legend 2. Might need some reinforcements up this way. Let's send him that way. I think down here I can manage with what I have available. Let's see what this actually looks like. Okay, interesting. So if he were like up here, so if I had like a teleport and could go up here, I could get 5 units with this Ecclesiarch's Fury. But it doesn't like seem like it does that much damage. We definitely need to be hitting that guy. Let's attack with this guy first this time. We'll hit here. Here. Okay. And that gives us the option to get to this ranged unit with a melee unit. Then I think we can do that, and then that. Okay. That takes care of that. This guy's basically a sacrificial lamb. I think I need to pull my hero back here a little bit. But maybe let's take out these cavalry units since they can move around pretty quickly. And I'm just going to bring this guy back here where he's less vulnerable. And we'll go ahead and knock out the cavalry there. That should do it. Okay, they actually didn't go for this guy here, which is interesting. I did lose like an archer unit, which are the easiest to replace of all the units I have on the battlefield. I'm gonna go ahead and knock this guy out. Yes. I wish I didn't have to attack him with 2 ranged units, but it is what it is. And then... Did I start working on the hero? Probably, right? They're on low ground right now, so this feels like the best time to attack them, potentially. I think I'm actually going to end up losing more units than the auto-resolve would have suggested. I think I just make attacks with those units. Thankfully, these guys are pretty easy to replace, but I do need to... And I've unlocked the Wrathbearer as well, which is really strong. I'll want some of those. Let's start working on some devotees. See what else I have here. Emergency dwellings would be good to get the approval and influence. Let's do some devotees first, though. I'm going to need some more after this battle. Okay. Let's see if I can just knock them out with ranged units. Not quite. we'll melee. We'll melee. We'll do that. I'm gonna bring this guy up here, I guess, and that'll help block a little bit. Then if I go here, I guess I can... That's gonna do more damage. Huh. I guess Dagger Storm is just like... This is from the thing that I got. Just seems to do more damage there, so we'll go ahead and use that. Only hit 2. Theoretically could hit more, but didn't think they could get down there. Okay. Definitely knocking this guy out. Then we can... Oh, didn't think he would move. We'll finish off Cena here. Yeah, definitely need to learn to be more efficient in these battles. Yeah, lost a little bit more than I had originally anticipated, but that's okay. We can upgrade some units now. I guess only the ones in our own territory. But I think I'm going to go for this upgrade on this side here. So this gives us extra damage when attacking units and some... Let's see, when attacking a unit, being not adjacent to units of its army. Okay, interesting. That's kind of an interesting effect. We'll see how it does. White Peace, we are going to refuse because we are still sieging. We have a couple more turns before we breach. And they want a cartography exchange, and they're willing to give me stuff for it, so I'm happy to do that. Non-aggression pact, I'm just going to refuse that for now. I think much like humankind, I tend to like to play aggressively across most of my 4X games. So I'm going to maintain that style. We'll see how it does with the Tahuks here. Also, can I do another Eternal Sunshine? That I can do it up here. Let's do that. Star's Light, I think, is not relevant at the moment. And in here, still waiting on the extra population to show up. It will eventually. I'm going to go ahead and combine that ranged unit into the army there. Okay, and I think we've completed the rewilding, so you can see I've added some extra yields there. And now if I go in here, I can attach to this city and have some options for building some merchant's houses now, which will be quite nice. Let's actually just finish up that blast furnace. Let's even just buy a merchant's house just to get my gold output going, because it's not very good right now. I think the last territory I'll want is probably this one, and that'll open up a lot of options for actually building things in here, because right now I'm like relatively constrained. However, any other improvements that I really need? I suppose I'll need the emergency dwellings to attach another territory. Though probably the lithosphere gallery is the best option to get that plus 50 dust, since I am struggling a little bit with those outputs. Now, if I look at the available options here, these are minor faction units. This is a ranged unit, an archer. Let's take a look at what they offer. Let's see. Extra damage to non-hero ranged units. That seems pretty good. We can restore health. Yeah, Rain of Arrows is pretty strong, if I recall. Attacking unit with negative status maximizes critical chance. Yeah, I mean, there'll be plenty of negative status effects. Yeah, let's give this one a shot. I don't know how they're going to perform. I'm just kind of curious about them. I have no idea about, like, synergy with my existing stuff. But Sage's Guidance seems like it's probably pretty good. We'll grab that. And probably this Guiding Light. Extra damage to non-hero ranged units. So we really want to, like, stack ranged units in this guy's army. And they will, yeah, I guess I probably should have brought them over here. Okay. And we have tier 3 techs available now as well. What do we want? Do industry on works isn't bad. I'm like, it's hard to keep track of like all the improvements and what they do. 25 industry and extra industry population and artisans, yeah. Yep, sounds good. I just want to build stuff faster. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot as far as technology is concerned. Let's double check. I'm top on the score right now, actually. Also, I haven't been tracking this, but there are some like competitive deeds, and you can get some bonuses once you have completed those, if you're the first one to complete them. So we're still working on these, but you know, maybe I can get some of those. Oh, and the last lords here have actually taken one of my territories that I wasn't paying attention to. That one wasn't like super important, so I'm not super upset about it. I can always try to take it back later, but obviously I would have preferred to have maintained control over that territory. Also, seeing I will probably need more influence income. Let's add another forum into the queue here. And that is breached in 1 turn. We would like to have these units all ready to go when we breach. And, yeah, I mean, I can use some of this titanium. I still have a little bit of that income, so I'm going to go ahead and upgrade that unit to a unit that will do a little bit more damage. Okay, so we're breached here. I don't quite have enough movement to get this guy in here, so I'm just going to move these units into a position where they can properly reinforce, and I will assault. Let's confirm that battle. And of course, my hero units are going to be critical here. Let's do something like that, maybe. Okay, so you can see I only have this 1 breach, so they can actually attack over the walls, and I cannot. Makes things a little bit more challenging. So let's start something like this, I guess. I'm gonna play this start pretty conservatively. I think I leave these guys kind of in the back. I get the feeling that their ranged or their melee units are kind of going to come to me. I'm going to let my melee units kind of absorb the first volleys here. This guy actually should have kept kind of in the background because he has a lot of range. But no walking back on that now. I'll attack right there. Everyone else will just defend. Oh, they have cavalry. Okay, so they're already killing my Relic Keeper. We need to knock this guy out so that this guy can kind of retreat. I don't think that'll be an issue. Yeah, just like that, easy peasy. And then we also have access to these ranged units with our own melee units. Do I want to take those op attacks? Probably not. Just gonna run away with this guy, I think. Here, yeah, let's knock out that ranged unit. Here we can make that attack. Here we can make that attack. And that looks okay. Yeah, they're gonna try to like get up and kill units, but there's only like so much. Part of the hard part, I think, of Endless Legend 2 is because of the limited number of units you can actually bring into a battlefield and the relative size of battlefields compared to the number of units on them, it can make it more difficult to keep the units alive, which is something I've mentioned I've struggled with a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna take that op attack to knock that ranged unit out. Okay, let's just attack here. That illuminating light, and we'll consume it for some damage. Easy peasy. And I can build some havens. And now I have the option of occupying, sacking, or raising. I'm going to occupy. And what's interesting about Endless Legends 2 is that you'll see there are kind of like 2 centers in the city where I'm occupying this. This was an attachment to the city, but when I occupy that, I'm only going to take control of that territory and not the entire city itself. So you have to like go location by location unless the city is at the point where its various outposts have actually combined into a single city. So it makes it harder to actually that's what I'm looking for, to take cities early on. See if we can get a parlay here and what the quest is. Build 2 units. Okay, already working on that, so that's not a bad one to get right now. What's my festival cost right now? Only 2. Might not be worth it quite yet. Have I don't have an Eternal Sunshine. I do have 3 of these population in here. And up here, let's just pull all these units back into a single army. and this unit is going to continue to explore for me a little bit. All right. I think that's where I'm going to call it for this one. I'm already at an hour and a half, a little over an hour and a half. So we're going to pick this up again in the next episode. We're only on turn 50 here, and there's like 300, maybe more turns in the game, up to a max of that. So we've still got a way to go. Maybe it's like 500 turns. So we'll see you in the next one. Appreciate you joining in, and see how the rest of this game unfolds and explore the Tahuks as well as the rest of the Endless Legend 2 mechanics a little bit, tech tree, all that kind of good stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.